Good morning. So we're really excited because today is the big day, the day we've been waiting for, the reason we came to Jordan. Today we're going to Petra.
So we've already been hiking for about 20 minutes into the city, and we're in these deep caverns with huge walls and cliffs on either side of us. But it is incredible already, but we should be coming up on the Treasury road in just a little bit, which is supposed to be the most famous part. So let's keep going.
We're so excited.
So far while we're hiking, the walls are like, I don't know, 100, 150 feet tall or so, but it is crazy huge and massive. It makes you feel so small down here. And then along the sides of the wall, they have like what looks like a gutter system where maybe they had water kind of running through into the city. And it's very cool here because all the shade from the canyon. So it's really comfortable right now walking through here.
Made it to the Treasury. This is the iconic part of Petra, the part that everyone takes all the pictures of, and this is where Indiana Jones was filmed right in front of this, and Transformers, and so it is famous, and we're so excited to get to see this. It's amazing. It's like in this big open area, and it's just carved straight into the rock. I don't even know how they did this. Like, it's incredible. This is really fun to see.
So we're moving on from the Treasury now, and you can't actually go inside the Treasury. There's a fence, it's laid down, but it says there's no entry. But also, a lot of people picture Petra and they imagine the Treasury and they think that is Petra. But really, Petra is a huge city, so big that the Jordan Pass offers a 1-day or a 2-day pass, or a 3-day pass. So a lot of people think that you need up to 3 days to be able to see it all. But we're just doing 1 day, and our hotel owner says that we could probably see 99% of it. So we're gonna go past the Treasury and go all the way out to the Monastery, and then catch some of the sites on our way back. So we were given a handy little pamphlet coming in, and so we know all the history, which we can share with you. So we read that nobody knows when Petra was first built. It did start to really take off in the 1st century BC, and then later it was annexed to the Romans. So the Romans did know about Petra, and they did rule over Petra until it was destroyed in the 4th century by an earthquake. So different than an earthquake that destroyed Jerash and some of the other sites we went to. But when the Romans did rule here, of course they did as Romans do, and they built a theater, an amphitheater. And so that's the next spot that we're coming up on right now.
So what we think is really cool about this theater here is that the seats, the stadium seats, are carved into the rock. And like some of the other theaters we saw, it was just rocks stacked up on top of each other, but this one is actually carved out of the rocks that were already here.
So the monastery is supposed to be just as impressive as the Treasury, and that's where we're hiking. It's at the very end. It's the longest walk in Petra. And so we've come to what's supposed to be the most difficult part, tons and tons of stairs going up to it because it's at the top of this mountain. And so our strategy has been, we're gonna tackle that first, just get to the monastery, and then we'll hit all the smaller sites on the way back. Because we got here about 8 o'clock, which is a little bit later than we wanted. But it feels pretty good right now. It's about 70, 75 degrees in the sun, and the shade is really nice. So we're gonna try to do this while we have some cooler weather, and then as it gets hotter, we'll slowly make our way back to the end. But yeah, it's going up tons of stairs now.
Okay, this is a lot tougher hike than we expected. I don't know if it's just because we haven't hiked in a while, or the heat. Maybe we're just bums, but whew, this is tougher than I expected.
It's no joke.
It's no joke at all. It's hot too. It's not as much of a breeze over here either. But we're gonna do it. We're gonna press on.
We really didn't get out here that early, but it looks like we beat a lot of the hawkers that are trying to sell stuff along the way. They have all these tents that are closed up. So we finally made it to the monastery. It is huge and it is amazing. There's not nearly as many people here because I think the hike is just so intense that not as many people make the hike, but this is so cool. It's definitely worth the hike to see this.
I think this one looks bigger than the Treasury, honestly. This is really cool. Glad we came up here, even though it was a pretty intense hike, because there's like no one in front of it right now. We have it all to ourselves to take pictures. This is definitely worth it. Glad we came.
So this monastery is actually for sure bigger than the Treasury. It stands 48.3 meters high and 47 meters wide. And the Treasury we read was about 40 meters high, so this is a full 8 meters, a little over 8 meters taller than the Treasury. So it is definitely worth the hike because it's huge, and it's beautiful. It's not as ornate as the Treasury, but like it's still beautiful. And you can get really close and see inside. There's actually nothing inside right now. There's a few benches and it looks like it was an altar. And that's what we read online, or what we read in the pamphlet was that this was built about the 2nd century AD, and then later it was used as a monastery, and they see some crosses that are carved into the back walls that show that. And so that's how it's got its name, was because of those crosses. But anyways, really ancient and really beautiful. So we ended up sitting around there for about 45 minutes, just taking it in because it was incredible. But now, oh, and it also took us about an hour and a half from the front gates to the monastery. And there were a few like little short stops that we made. For the most part, we tried to just go and get there. So now we're gonna go ahead and head on back, and we're hoping it's a lot easier. At least we're using different muscles going downstairs than up the stairs. And then we're gonna head backwards and try to see what other sites there are along the way. And then probably be done. But it was definitely worth it. I'm really glad that we made that arduous hike up there.
So there are a lot more restaurants and little shops along the way than we expected. So we found a nice little covering along the way, and we decided to come and stop and have some lunch. Our hotel owner was nice enough to make us some packed lunches, and so we brought those along, and now we're gonna eat those and just relax for just a little bit.
So we're continuing on, and I think there's a really cool Byzantine church with like mosaic floors and stuff. I don't know that to be a fact. I think I saw that in the pamphlet. So we're heading on the trails, but as we're walking around, I just want to show you the number of caves like in the hills along the way. They're just caves everywhere. And then some of them are really interesting because it looks like there's like doors, and then also maybe even like coolers and different things in there. So it kind of seems like some of the Bedouins like have made like little homes or shops in here. We were told that the Bedouins that are in here, and they're trying to sell you donkey rides and souvenirs the whole way, that they actually have a village that the government built for them right outside of Petra, and so they come and go in here every day and they sell and work this area. But it does look like they still have made some of these caves into like modern things too that they're using still, maybe like while they're trying to sell water out of or whatever. So kind of interesting. So we did find the church, and it was built in like the 500s we see, and it is beautifully preserved mosaic on the either side of the main aisle of the church. And yeah, just tons of animals. It looks a lot like the one on the top of Mount Nebo. And then beautiful altar at the front of this church too.
Next, we're gonna head over to the royal tombs, and just looking at it from here, it looks like it is a pretty big space. We're excited to kind of explore through there, but especially after coming to this church and then just seeing all these different kind of old structures, like there is so much more to Petra than we realized. I think when we think of it, we only think of the Treasury at the front, but it's a whole city back here. So it's been really cool to see all of the different things and just imagine life here back when it was a city.
Wow. We're just wandering on the tombs right now. It's like a labyrinth of arches and different corridors. And I don't know, there's a few other people doing it, but just really beautiful rocks too, just all the different colors inside of it. And you can overlook the rest of the city. Really, really cool spot to come check out. Yeah, look at the color of the rock. I didn't even know that these kind of stripes were possible. Any kind of stone. And then the ceiling, like what? So many colors and so many patterns. We're back at the Treasury now, about to head on out, and we didn't even realize when we were here last time. We're back at the Treasury now, about to head on out, and we didn't even realize when we were here last time, there's actually more to the Treasury than what you first see up above. There's also some down below.
So what we learned is that the Bedouin people have known about this for a long time. It was kind of a hidden secret. And then in 1812, a Swiss man basically tricked them into showing him where this was. So kind of sad. But then after that, it has become just a big tourist site. And so, of course, like it's amazing. And people come from all over the world to come see it. And now it's like a UNESCO Heritage World Site and everything like that. But I think we've seen just about everything that our goal was to see today. We spent about 6 hours, I think, here. So pretty long day, honestly, but there's still so much more. Like I could definitely see how you could spend days if you want to see every little thing. But we saw the main stuff that we wanted to see. So now we're gonna head back through these caverns and the rocks and everything and head back to our car. So I'm really glad we got here in the morning. Even at 8 o'clock, it was a lot more crowded than I expected, but it was still, I think, the right choice because now this afternoon, there's so many more people. It's really crowded, and even a lot of the people selling things, the Bedouin people, there's so many more of them out in the afternoon with the horses and the carts, and they're dropping poo everywhere. So it's a lot more crowded and smelly everywhere this afternoon. So coming in the morning is a must.
There was so much more of Petra than we expected. It was so neat getting to see so much more beyond just the Treasury, and we knew about the monastery, but then everything in between was really, really cool too. So we hope that you enjoy getting to see another aspect of Petra that we didn't even know of. So thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed it, please like this video and subscribe so you keep with more adventures, because we have even more of Jordan coming, even beyond this.
Yes.
So we'll see you in another video.